Hi everyone, Katarina from Bloom and Passion here. Thank you so much for watching my video today. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how I made this stunning, really beautiful wedding card. I call it the ultimate wedding card because there are really so many surprises in it that you will see in a moment, and there's so many ways that you can customize it. I have made this for birthdays, special occasions like anniversaries before, so you don't have to make this for a wedding, but I really think that it's a beautiful keepsake for any occasion at all. Okay, so for the front I used these roses and all different embellishment, these twirly bits and foliage that I absolutely love. I will show you what I used to create this. It's so different, it's so elegant. I actually call it the two-part elegant foliage because it really brings it to a whole new level, I think. I used nesting dies to create all those hearts, but I've used all different shapes before to put in there for birthdays, let's say, where I didn't want to use a heart. So this can be really customized any way at all. Okay, so this already is a beautiful card in itself. So if you want to create a front like this and put it in a simple folding 6x6 card, you can do that. You would already have a beautiful wedding card that would definitely be quite eye-catching. But if you want to take it to a new level, because it's obviously for a very special occasion, then you can decorate the middle bit as well, like this. I mean, isn't this stunning? I used a combination of mirror card and glitter card in here, and with this card I went with the white and silver theme. Okay, that cake decorated and the bunting, the flowers. It says on your special day, celebrate on your special day. I think it's beautiful. For most of the things that you can see in here, I used SVG files that I will walk you through, but I've made these cards before using dies. So if you have any dies like this, you can go for it. Like for example, this here, these corners, I made using dies that I have. The rest of it more or less is, except the butterflies. The butterflies are dies as well, but all the other things are SVG files, and I will walk you through it. Now, if you want to stop there, you can, and write your message on the back of the card, or you can create a pocket just like I did, where this little note card slides out of. This is a 5x5 note card, and in the middle this tape is holding this ribbon in place just, but that will be concealed once the message is written or stamped onto this card and put inside the middle. It will conceal everything and it will look beautiful. Now with the note card I don't go over the top decorating this. I keep it quite nice and simple. I didn't even add the mat or layer onto the front, just these two silver hearts, because I want to be able to slide it in and out of this little pocket in here. Okay, now I'm going to show you a different version. This is a silver and white, but here is one made with gold, ivory and white. Isn't this beautiful? I used the same kind of decorations, just arranged them a bit differently, and I think they are still stunning. Okay, I used gold in here, and for some of these I used gold glitter cardstock, like, or silver glitter cardstock like in here, but I couldn't find anything gold like that. So what I did, I heat embossed it with gold embossing powder, and I think it still looks stunning. Again, open it up and you can see all the decorations in the middle, done with gold. And the little note card that slides out, decorated with the gold hearts. Okay, I also made matching keepsake boxes. One for the silver and one for the gold. I'll just take this one here first. Okay, so it matches the card perfectly. I think it's beautiful. It's a nice strong box. I will show you how I made the box too at the end of this video. And the little gift tag that you can easily remove, just slide out of this little belly band, and they can use it for whatever they would like. Some people like to use this to decorate their wedding album. Some people like to put it into a little keepsake box. So yeah, So yeah, this is how, and this box is not hard to make at all. Now I have to warn anyone, this card is not a 5-minute card to make, okay? It's more like 5 hours. I'm not even joking. But yeah, it is for a special occasion, and I think it deserves that little bit of a extra attention. Okay, as I said, you don't have to decorate everything the way I did. You can just do the front bit, or you can just do the middle bit and just keep the front simple, you know, whatever you like. I like to go OTT with my cards, and these cards are definitely very popular. I've made these before for all different occasions. I will actually link to my TikTok channel below, where you can check out different versions of this card, where I made it pink and rose gold and all different colors. So yeah, they look absolutely beautiful. Now for today's card, I'm going to make one exactly the same, only using rose gold and dusty pink. But before I pick up everything that I need in here, I'm going to show you what I used to create this card. So I'm going to start with this pop-up bit in the middle of the card. This is the SVG file, but I will also include it as a PDF. For those who don't use electronic cutting machines, you will still be able to print this out and trace this onto your cardstock and cut it out that way. Now, the SVG files will have two different versions, just slightly different. One that I like to use that looks exactly like this, the two little windows cut out from a piece of cardstock. The other one would have all these perforated lines on it. Okay, that shows you exactly where you need to fold the card. Now for this large bit in the middle of the card, I prefer not to have the perforated lines. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them, it's just the way I like to work. So I'm going to show you, if you don't like them either, I'm going to show you how you can just very easily fold this card without having the perforated lines in the middle. Okay, so this will be the pop-up feature in the card. And for the decorations, I will also include all these bits in that one SVG and PDF file in my Etsy shop that you can check out if you like. So it will contain the cake and the two pieces for the stand, a little rolled rose that I didn't use this time. It would create a little rose like this, which sometimes I use. And they are just very nicely and easily tucked in between the larger flowers, and they just look really beautiful. This is the 7 layers of the petals that I used to create the roses, like this. Yeah. Middle bits, it's like a little stamen bits, I suppose. I haven't cut any of them out, but sometimes I use them because these exact same templates, sometimes I used to create different cards with. Like I have a lot of flowers in here that I use those exact same templates, and they all look different. Now these were sprayed with water and inked up using distress oxide inks. This is just white cardstock with stamens that I created. These are lovely glittery ones, and I use these flowers on cards like this a lot too. So there's always more than one ways using templates like this. This is just little like berry-like foliage. Two different types of Prosecco bottles and two different types of glasses to go with, and bubbles if anyone would like to use those. They are easily cut out and used. The foliage, and this is the two-part foliage that I showed you already. So once you cut this one out, you would get, I'm not sure how well this shows because it's a glitter card. I'll try to put it against the white here. Okay, so this is what you will get. By cutting out these bits, you will get the outline of this, okay? So, and then you can layer them up on top of each other. So then you can just easily layer these up on top of each other using just some liquid glue. Also, you can layer the outline bit of it, okay? I think they are really beautiful. You can mix match the colors, you know, to match the color theme of your card, and I really think these are very beautiful. Okay, I also have the little lilies flowers that would create, oops, little lilies like this. It's all the glue strings from the hot glue gun. Oh gosh, I don't like them. Okay, I've created them in all different colors for the card. Today I will show you. I'm just showing this to you because it's easier to see the different color. The stamen is white. For the stamens, I just used little, let me show you, stamens from a packet like this that I got a long time ago from AliExpress, and they last forever because there's so many of them in a little packet. Okay, so that's what I used. And for these ones I actually mixed up white and these pink ones in here. I'm not sure if you can see the color combination. Okay, yeah, and that's it. Also in the files included are bunting, 2 sentiments, a celebrate and on your special day, and they also have the outline cut as well. So if you are interested in checking them out, I will link to these below in my Etsy shop. Okay, so I mentioned that for today's tutorial, or for the today's card, I'm going to go with rose gold. Let's see. So rose gold and pink kind of, and dust skipping kind of color theme. So for the card, we will need a 6x6 card base. I'm choosing the scalloped edge one, but I don't always have the scalloped edge one, so don't worry if you don't have it. It looks really nice with a straight edge as well. I'm telling you because I made them before and they really look beautiful. So this is just a 6x6 cardstock. If you don't have a 6x6 card base, just cut a 12x6 and score die middle at the 6-inch mark. Okay, burnish the fold line, and that's it. I also cut one of these in half, and I already added a little bit of a red tape on it because this is what's gonna go onto the back of my card, creating the pocket. Okay, make sure you don't add any tape on this edge in here because this is where the opening for the pocket will be. But before I put this on, so we will also need a piece of cardstock that measures 5 3/4 by 1.5 inches. Now it can be a bit shorter, it doesn't have to be this long, it will make sense in a moment. I used my corner punch just to grind these corners down. Get my scoreboard out, and I'm going to score this bit. So I'm going to score it at 1 1/4 inch and 1.5, but to do it at 1.5, I'm going to slide it to the right a bit because I don't want this bit to be 1/4 inch wide, just a teeny tiny bit under 1/4 inch. Okay, so this bit here would be now about just a teeny tiny bit under 1/4 inch. Okay, and I fold and burnish these score lines, and this is going to be our closure for the card. Okay, so I want to glue this on before I add the back piece on to close up the pocket, because this here will conceal it then. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Now I'm going to take some glue . Now, one that there's properly dry, I'm going to remove the backing of this tape. This is the very thin, I think it's like a 1/8 inch just in width for the tape. I love using this for this bit because if I use the wider tape, that would take up too much of a room and I would need to reduce the size of the note card that I can put in there. So I also like to add a little bit of an extra glue just onto these scallops to make sure they all nicely stick together. And I'm going to marry these up nicely. I'm going to try and marry these up nicely, all these scallops at the back. I'm gonna pull it out of your view for a moment just so I can match them up nicely. Yeah, and what I forgot to say, when I've cut the card stuck in half, to use it onto the backing of this pocket, I've cut the score line away in here, okay? So you can see it's that much shorter just in there. And now it's properly matched together. For next bit is we're gonna have to add the pop-up feature in here. So I'm going to take my pop-up piece and my scoreboard, and all we have to do in here to create our score lines is marry up the start of this larger window with any of these lines and just score down on the top and the bottom, and do exactly the same thing at the very end of the smaller window. Just score line in the middle and the bottom. And all we have to do now is score down in the middle of this little middle piece, okay? I know that this is 3/4 of an inch wide, and all I have to do is coin down 1, 2, 3/8 of an inch in the middle, because that would be the half of the 3/4 of an inch. Turn it around the other way, and I'm just going to score it this way too, because this obviously will be folded 2 different directions. These two will be folding back, and this one will be folded the other way. Okay, now I'm just going to burnish these score lines. And this is how it will sit on the inside of our card. Now, to decorate this back bit in here, like I did, let me see, on this one I used this ivory cardstock. On the silver one I used glitter cardstock, okay, and on this one I'm going to use, this piece of card needs to measure 5.5 by 5.5 inches. I will talk to you about this card in a moment. No, on one of the sides that is going to be the height of this, although I'm going to just cut a smidge off, because once I line these up, you see that bit there hangs over? It's easier to do it this way, okay? So that much will hang over, and I want to cut that bit away. Now it would fit perfectly behind it, okay? So on the side that we didn't cut any away from, we are going to score down at 2.25 of an inch, okay? Now you can see this paper is a little bit flimsy, but I will talk about this in a moment, why I'm using this, what is this and why I'm using it, okay? And with the score lines married up, we are just going to glue it onto the inside of this card. Just make sure when you're doing this that the smaller bit goes to the front bit of the card, and this larger bit will be glued onto the back. Now, when I'm going to let this dry, I will make sure that I'm not lying my card flat like this, okay? So I'm gonna pull this bit up, and I'm going to let it dry half open like this, because obviously these cards will be displayed either closed up like this or opened up like halfway in this displayed way. It's not going to be fully, and I don't even want to pull this now because that would just rip the card. So I want it to be able to display it in this position, okay? So I'm just making sure that it dries nice and flat. With this paper that I'm using here in the middle is just a bit awkward. It takes a little bit of more attention to properly glue it down together. And while this dries, I'm going to talk to you about this, because this is the bit that I'm using on some of the, on some of these hearts. You can use the silver ones in there. and I done the same, exact same with the gold. And this one is the rose gold, which let me show you. Okay. So these are the hearts here, and to use for this paper, I mean, it really is like almost like a fabric feel to it. It's so luxurious looking. I really love this. And these are wallpapers that I got in the range in 3 different colors, obviously silver, gold and rose gold. Now for all of them I took a sample. You can take a sample. Some places let you take samples of wallpapers, and then I went back and I bought a full roll of, which one was it? The gold, because I used that for all different projects over the summer, last summer obviously. But it wasn't the cheapest rolls. I think they cost about 25 or 6 pounds per roll, and I only bought the silver one. This here I just had samples that I took, but they are so beautiful. They really are nice. They are quite different, almost like that fabric kind of a texture to it. Now when I cut these hearts out, they go quite flimsy. Let me show you, because this is obviously wallpaper. So what I did, I backed them up with a cardstock, and now it's nice and strong. Okay, using the cola glue. The cola glue dries very nice and strong. It just takes a little while for it to dry. That's, I have to be patient with this one. And once that there is dry, I'm gonna put this to the side yet, because first of all we are going to glue this one in the middle. Now I'm just going to show you when I'm gluing it into the middle, this doesn't go right to the edge. Okay, now you can pull it out a bit if you want. Just always make sure that you have enough paper in here, okay, to cover it up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add glue just to one side of this for now. So once I'm confident that this bit is properly dried, I'm just going to fold this bit over and add my glue onto this bit here. And I'm just going to fold my card over. Just hold it there for a second. Make sure that it sticks on properly before I let it go. Like this, and this is going to make the pop-up feature for a card. Now obviously I'm going to let this dry a bit, so I'm just going to fold it over and I can start working on the front now. I'm not going to fully decorate it yet, because then it would be way too hard to decorate the middle of the card. To decorate the front of the card, I used 2 pieces of cardstock. First of all, 5 1/4 by 5 1/4 inches. I use rose gold glitter cardstock on this one, and I cut it down to a scalloped edge. Okay, I've used this trimmer here, but if you want to use scalloped and you don't have a trimmer that does that for you, you can always use decorative scissors or any dies, edge dies that you may have. Okay. Okay, and I'm also going to use a piece of cardstock that measures 5 1/8 by 5 1/8, cut with that exact same edge trimmer, and I'm going to glue this on this other way. Now this paper isn't very heavyweight. I think it's like 140 GSM. So once I glue this on top of the glitter cardstock that is quite thick, these edges in here would be flipping about, and I don't want that to happen. So what I did, I cut out the cardstock that is just a tiny bit smaller. It's 5 by 5 inches, okay? And I'm going to glue this to the back. So now, before I glue this bit on, I'm gonna have to so upside down. I'm gonna have to add my magnet to this one because these cards have a magnet closing. Now, if you don't want to use magnets, you can use Velcro that. I do that a lot too. This time I decided to go with the magnets. Now, if I use magnets on any of my projects, whether it's gift bags or cards or anything, mini albums, I would always leave a note to the recipient. Okay, I would always make them aware of that because it is not for kids to play with. If kids eat the magnets, that can be quite dangerous. I'm quite aware of when my kids are at home, I don't use these. Or and I will conceal this later. Oh yeah, I just probably forgot to mention, I think, that this here is embossed. I used 3D embossing folder. It's this one here, and I'm nearly sure this is from Crafters Companion. I got this a long time ago and I use it a lot. I think it's a beautiful embossing folder with all the swirls and all, and it's really textured. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to, yeah, before I do that, I add a bit of a liquid glue as well because it's glitter cardstock. I just like to be double sure that it will hold this in place, will not try to fold away from the bottom cardstock. So now, like so. No. Perfect. And it closes well. Now I'm going to start arranging the hearts on this, but only the first couple of layers, because I do not want to create too much bulk in here before I start decorating the middle. So to cut my hearts out, I use these nesting dies. Now this is the only heart nesting dies, well, other than that, the one with straight edges that I have. And I use the 1, 2, 3, 4 larger ones for the layers, and then this 5th larger one is for the sentiment that I will show you in a minute. Now the largest one of these measures from cut line to cut line 4.5 on the widest, 4 5/8 maybe, and from spike to spike would be 4 1/8 of an inch. That's the largest one. Okay, and that will be white, and I will be gluing it onto the cardstock. The smaller one below, is 4 1/8, and this one measures about 3 3/4. That will be going on top. Now I'm only going to glue these two on for now, because the next layer will be popped up on foam tape, and I don't want too much bulk in here before I add all the decorations in the middle. Okay, so I'm going to take my cola glue again. This is a nice strong glue. Now, and what I need to make sure in here that this is not going to interfere with the magnet, so that's why I'm kind of sliding it under that closing in there. I can come down a little bit. Okay, make sure there's no glue oozing out. And this one also will go under the flap a bit, so just want to make sure that that magnet is not being plugged up, because if I add too many layers of cardstock between the two magnets, then they may not just pull in together. Now I'm just going to give this a minute to dry. I really love this. I know it's a wallpaper, but it's beautiful. It's that fabricy, luxurious feel, and I'm not sure if the camera picks it up very well, but as the light hits it, all different parts of it shine up, so it's just a really beautiful play with the light. It's lovely. Okay, now I'm going to start decorating the middle in here, the middle bit. I think this here is bubbling up a bit, so I'm just going to give this another little while to dry and I will be back then. Now, okay, so I'm just kind of picked out everything that I had cut out. I don't know how much is in the screen in here. I will walk you through it. I'm trying to make my mind up which colors to use. This is a dusky pink, the same color that I cut out some of the flowers with, okay? But I've also cut out the flowers, and this will be for the front of the card. This color here, that is like like a rose gold. I think it was called like misty rose. It's beautiful. It's very subtle rose gold color. It's like paper with like a pearly coating on it, and so is this one in here. It's beautiful. I also have some whites, which I don't think I will be using on this card, but I've cut out some in the ivory white color. Okay, so this is like off-white, kind of creamish color, which I think is beautiful. So these are gonna be going to the front of the card, and for the middle I kind of want it to match. I'm trying to make my mind up whether to use this dusky pink for the bottle and the glasses, or use more like just the rose gold, the glitters, and all the colors match together very nice. So I don't know what's too much or too little. I mean, these here are cut out of this same textured wallpaper, okay? Or I have them cut out from the glitter cardstock as well. But I think I'll go with those, and for on your special day, it's either glitter cardstock, that's nice too. That is the dusky pink. Or I have the glitter cardstock with the creamy color. That's nice too. I really am struggling to make my mind up in here. Again, the same for the celebrate. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the cake, because I definitely know what I'm making with the cake. I definitely know what colors I'm using. So it's the glitter cardstock for the cake, and this here, the stand for the cake, is white cardstock, and this bit here is again the same glitter cardstock. I will layer this up together like so. Now to decorate the cake, I'm just going to use, where's my scissors? Just going to use some of these here. I'm just going to add a teeny tiny bit of a hot glue. No, just a little bit of a bead of a glue. On the other side as well. Now if you're using hot glue and you're not too familiar with it, just be careful, because you can very easily burn yourself. I have done it a million times before, so it's not very pleasant. I think it looks beautiful. Sometimes I decorate these cakes with flowers, you know, or I would add 3 little pearls in there and 3 in there. So there's all other ways that I decorate this. You don't have to do this here. I mean, no, not everyone is very confident in using hot glue. And to be honest, if I wasn't using glitter cardstock for the cake, I probably wouldn't have used the hot glue either. So you don't have to. Okay, so now I'm just attaching the cake to this bit of the window in here. I'm trying to be quite careful that I don't spread glue anywhere else, because I don't want this to start sticking to every bit of the card that it's not supposed to. All the decorations in here. Okay, so this is the cake stuck on. Some of the glue spread out in here. No problem, I have this magic tool in here. It removes every single glue residue. I've never seen anything like it. This is witchcraft, I'm telling you. Okay, so now everything is coming together quite nicely. What I'm going to do next is the bunting. Now I don't know whether I want to use, again, glitter cardstock for the bunting, or I want to use the same as that there in the background. I think I'm gonna go with this here. Yeah, so what I like to do, just cut off this very end of the bunting and add a bit of glue onto this flag bit, I suppose, and just glue it onto it. Make sure it's stuck very well, and then I'll cut off this bit and glue it in here. Add a bit of glue to the outer side, not all of it, because again I don't want the glue to go where it's not supposed to. This will hold this in place perfectly. Now the decisions. I'm going to get something in here just to hold this kind of open for me. Decisions. I still don't know which color to use. Okay, what looks nicest? So I'm going to arrange these all different ways. I'll probably put this on high speed, because this is only me deciding what colors to use, to be honest. And this dye that cuts out all these little stars, okay, and I've cut them out both in the sparkly rose gold glitter card and also this textured paper as well. So let's see which ones I want to use. Okay, these are just all different sizes of stars, but also you can use these bubbles in here, and sometimes I do use those, and sometimes I layer them up, a bigger one and a smaller one in the corner, and just they look lovely too. And this time I want to go with the stars. I think it just ties in nice with the okay, so that's it all for the inside. Now I'm going to decorate this front bit in here. Again, having to decide which colors to use. Okay, so I have a few bits and pieces prepared in here, and also some of these little leaves, and I have a lot of white foliage in here. But first of all, I'm going to add the rest of these hearts. So I mentioned that this one, the next size down, the third biggest one, will be added onto foam tape, just to add that lovely dimension to the front of the card as well. Okay, so this last one will be again on foam pads to add an extra bit of a dimension again. And in that exact same size I've cut out my sentiment. Now I have two in here. One says congratulations on your special day, and this one says best wishes on your wedding day. Now this one doesn't need to have any names or dates on it, so I'm gonna be using either or. I really am not sure. I'm tempted to go with this wedding one. I'll see that at last when everything else is added on the card, which writing looks better, less or more, or we'll see. Okay, so I'm just going to add this bit now to the card. Again, centered as much as I can. That bottom one is still moving a bit, so just need to give it a little bit of extra time to dry. Okay, it's still cozy nicely. And now it's really down to deciding what colors to use. I'm almost tempted to go with either these or the dusky pink, or the cream ones. No, I think I go with these rose gold. I think they look absolutely stunning in there, don't they? I really love these. And for this dusky pink, I'm gonna be using these tiny little lilies. They are so cute. I really love them. Okay, so I'll be using the lilies. For the foliage, these ones or the dusky pink. Now again, the dusky pink is used with the cream, yeah, this exact same cream or ivory color like that there. Only I added heat embossing, clear sparkle embossing powders to them. It's nice. Or again, this misty rose with white and the clear sparkle embossing powder. Decisions. Yeah, I think I'll go with this one, and I'm gonna go with the pink with the little lilies. So I start in here. Okay, so you just saw me decorate this. I think more or less anyway finished with it. What you saw was I was putting little foam pads just under these leaves just to hold them up a bit. I also have a wee trick for you if you're using hot glue a lot like me and it's full of glue strings. Just put your hot glue gun on, and I'm going to put this on silent video in here, but heat it up very well for about 30-35 seconds, and then just very quickly blast the card with it. It will get rid of all the glue strings that you may have. There we go. Just make sure you don't hold the glue gun too long on your card, because you don't want to start melting all the glue that you've already put down. Okay, so next we're going to conceal this little magnet in here. We're going to need a cardstock, piece of cardstock that measures 1.5 by just under 1.25 inches. Okay, so 1.5. 1.5 by just under 1.25. Okay, grab my corner grinder and do the same thing. I'm just going to grind this down, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to glue this over in here. But that wouldn't work very well, because this bit here, it would start creasing up. So what I like to do onto this bit in here, just onto this bit in here on the outer side of this magnet, I like to add a little bit of a foam tape. Okay, yeah, it's the same size as the magnet, and just want that fits in here. Now, of course, if you want, you can add it all around, but I don't normally do that. I think this is enough. I'm going to add glue to this other piece of cardstock. Just make sure I spread it out nicely so it is everywhere. You can use a quick grab glue if you're impatient, which I tend to be, but I think this glue just dries nice and strong once it dries. Now it is going to leave you with that bit in there, so if you don't like that, just go ahead and don't use the magnet. You can always swap it for Velcro dots, or you don't even have to have this closing on it. You know, I don't always put this bit on these cards. You know, sometimes I just leave them so they open nicely. It really depends. For the wedding ones, I like adding it. For the birthday ones, I don't always do, because to be honest, once I forgot, and then I was going to add it, because it's not hard to slide it into it, you know, you can always add it, but the way the card was decorated, I think it just took away from that decoration in there, so it doesn't always, you know, need it. It's up to you. Okay, so now just have to wait again until this glue dries properly, and I'm also going to take one of these beads that you saw me use, larger one or the smaller one. I think I go with the larger one. Okay, so now I'm going to add some of these little pearly beads. Okay, so I think I've decided finally to go with this kind of design. On both sides. I think that, now I made a mess out of it. Look. Next step will be the note card for the back, okay? It's easy peasy. What I'm going to do is take a piece of cardstock that measures 10 by 5 inches, and in the middle, 10 inside, score down in the middle at 5 inches, fold and burnish. So I went through and through my stash again and again, and I just couldn't find any ribbon that would match this color, and I didn't want to use white. I don't know why. It's just because the other ones I used the matching colors. I think it's just stuck in my head now that I have to, or else I don't really have to. But what I did, I took a piece of this wallpaper again, this textured paper, and I glued two pieces together. Now I have this lovely ribbony poly thingy that I can glue onto here. Only I'm thinking it might be just too bulky now. Let's just see. Let's just see. It just might have got too bulky now, so yeah, I think it is too bulky now, guys, so I can't really use that. It looks a bit silly like this, unless I just put like one bit in here like this. That looks alright, doesn't it? Does it look weird? No? I like that. Yeah, I'll go with this. I actually quite like that. And I just add another little bit of a strip in here. Make sure this will hold it in place. And once I'm going to add the note card with the message in the middle, that will conceal all that there. To decorate this is very easy. I've just cut out two different sizes of hearts that I'm going to glue onto that. So now, while all that there is drying and setting, I'm going to show you how I made the matching gift box, okay? So for the base of the box, I like to make it reinforced for this type of wedding cards because it's quite bulky and heavy, and also I don't want the box to start getting very clumsy under the weight of it. So I'm going to need a piece of cardstock that will measure 11¼ by 11¼ inches. And score down at 1¼ and 2½ inches on all four sides, okay? 1¼ and 2½. Now we should have 4 little squares on each of the corners. I'm going to remove 3 of these squares on all of the corners, okay? So this one, and this one I'm going to remove. I'm only going to keep the one that meets the inner score lines in here, okay? So grab my scissors. Okay, so to do this, I'm going to cut up beside this score line up to the top of the second score line. And do it again on this second flap. Now you should have 2 of these flaps, and one of them going to remove. And again remove this bit here, okay? With this one I'm just going to cut away a little bit on each side. This is going to be our tab to attach the sides of the box together, and do the same on the other side. Okay, so once we're done, it should have something like this. Now don't worry about these tabs having to match each other, because once we've attached it to the side of the box, we are going to conceal it with this bit, so you won't see those tabs. Okay, don't have to worry about it being geometrically perfect or anything like that. Now I'm going to take my cola glue and I'm going to add glue to all these 4 flaps, and I'm going to fold them inside and just wait until it dries in there. Okay, so I like to take another piece of cardstock that this one measures just under 6 1/4 by 6 1/4, and I'm going to add glue onto this. I'm going to glue this onto the bottom, and with this I will reinforce the bottom of the box as well. The sides are already reinforced because we folded over a second layer, and now once the glue dries, the bottom of it will be just as nice and strong. We are going to make a lid for our box. The lid should measure 8 1/4 by 8 1/4 and just a little bit above. What I mean by that is that next little line past the 1/4 inch mark. You see that 1/16? That's what it should measure on each of the sides. Score at 1 inches on all 4 sides and fold and burnish your card. Now I'm going to cut up on each of these score lines just to free these tabs up and cut a little bit away. Okay, so I freed these tabs up and I cut just a little bit away from them, so now we can attach the sides together. To do that, I like to bring this box back, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to attach one side, just one of these. What I like to do is, oops, it's too much glue. I like to attach just one of these tabs just to one of the sides. To add the lid on top of the box, and I'm going to glue the rest of the tabs on while I have it on the box. To decorate the box, I'm going to grab a piece of glitter, rose glitter cardstock, or rose gold even. That measures, I think this one was 6 1/8 of an inch square. The next bit is this card paper in here. This measures 5 7/8 squared. And again, this lovely pearly shiny paper, embossed with that same embossing folder I showed you at the beginning, and this measures 5 1/2 inches squared. So I'm just going to glue these all on top of each other. Like this. So while I set this all aside to dry, okay, so to create the tag, I've used this tag punch here, but before I had this I used tag dies, or I just hand cut them. You know, you don't need to have this, but the tags that I have in here to fit this box measure 4 3/4 by 2 1/2 inches. Okay, so this is the larger bit, the biggest bit. So I'm going to glue two of these together to, and I also am going to glue this one on with this one. This is again, that's exactly the same textured paper that I've been using throughout the card. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure this is nice and stuck. I'm going to cut this excess away, like so. And then I have the next cardstock. This one measures 2 inches in width. Okay, so this is the next one. If you have this tag punch, this is quite handy because you can create 3 different looks with this one in 3 different widths. So this one is the next one down, the 2 inches one, and this one will be going on top of this here, but I want to cut some of this away, so in around 1/4 of an inch off. I'm just trying to kind of eyeball it the same amount of as it's on the sides. And that looks good. So before I do anything else, I'm going to add a piece of... Okay, so to decorate the tag, I'm actually going to use this quick grab glue. I'm just going to add the strip of this glitter cardstock, the rose gold glitter cardstock that I've been using, and this measures 1¼ yeah, 1¼ inches in width. And then on top of this, I'm going to add a piece of that textured paper that I've been using, and this is again just a scrap I have left over. This is about 3/4 of an inch in width. I'm just going to glue this on top of it, turn it around and cut this excess away. And now I'm just very quickly going to decorate this too, just using the same kind of flowers I used on the card, only I think I might invert the colors a bit now. So for the rose I'm going to use the dusky pink, and for the lilies I'm going to use that misty rose. So there's the lid of the box, and I'm going to use a piece of cardstock that 1 inch in width, okay, and I'm going to wrap it around, not too loosely, not too tight, and I'm going to cut this excess away. I just want there to be a bit where I can glue this together, okay. This is not too tight and not too loose, so I can freely slide this in and out, but it's not going to fall out either, okay. So I'm just going to take my quick grab glue, now for this here, sometimes I use brads and sometimes I use eyelets. Now I don't have any rose gold eyelets. Now I have cut out another piece of this here, reason being because I was going to use eyelets, but I only have silver ones left. I don't have any rose gold or any pinkish that matches the color of, but I have these little heart-shaped brads that I love, and sometimes I do use brads on this, so I'm going to show you what I do when I do use my brads. I'm going to add them together, all the ones that I'd already prepared previously, okay? And now to conceal this bit, I'm going to glue in another piece of cardstock in there. I just have to make sure that this will slide in and out of that little slot still. Now the cardstock that I'm using is not too heavyweight, so it shouldn't be too big of a problem. But we'll see in a moment whether I can still slide it in and out of that little slot that I have created on the lid of the box. Okay, now my only issue maybe is I don't know if this will still slide in and out of this little slot that I'd already created, because obviously I added that extra layer of paper, so I'm gonna have to check. Oh yeah, it's perfect. It's actually quite snug. It's not going to move out and about, well, except that bit obviously that is always going to move, but it's perfect. It's staying in place. Oh, it's just absolutely perfect. Okay, so just make sure it's all nice and stuck. It's not going to move. Just give it time to dry. I think that looks lovely. I'm going to add this little butterfly in here now. Like that. And perhaps a few of these little beads. Okay, so that's it. The tag is lovely and decorated. Our card is ready to just tidy this away a bit in here. I have all that foliage to go through to see which ones I'm going to keep and which ones I'm not. This is the little note card that is, the hearts are dried on it now, so I can just slide it in place. Okay, and that's our card ready. It's absolutely beautiful. Let me just bring these other ones in. Now I can just see what I forgot is to decorate the sides of the lid. Okay, so I will finish that off camera and I will add photos of this when it's ready. It's just pieces of the glitter cardstock will be 6 1/8 by 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so 4 times, and I'm just going to glue them onto the side of this here. So there's all 3 of them. These are the boxes, and I'm going to leave the cards out now to show you. So here's the 3 different color combinations. This is the rose gold that we made now together. It's beautiful. I really love it. Oh, so nice. This one is the silver and white. Okay, and the gold. All the links that I said that I would share with you will be below in the description box, so you can find anything in there. And if you have any questions, guys, don't be afraid to ask. I'm here, happy to help. Hopefully you like this card and you will give it a go. I will be back soon with another beautiful tutorial. Until then, bye!